So, Mr. Johnson, do you agree that at the time, forget how often you were going to pay, that you agreed to pay the vet bill?
I agreed to pay the $1,200 or $150 a month.
That's all I want to know. Go
That's
to the next.
out of goodwill.
Out of goodwill. I understand you're not admitting liability. So you've got the $1,200 vet bill. The next one is lost wages.
I made other arrangements instead of continuing to take time off of work in order, it made more fiscal sense to fly my retired mother here to take care of him than to continue to take days off.
Got it. Okay, why did you need to have around-the-clock care for Stanley?
Based on his injuries and the treatment plan after the fact, he had to have a cone. His wounds could not be stitched because a dog bite, you can't stitch them.
You can't stitch them because you may stitch infection in.
Right, and so he had to have hot compresses. He had to have medication, 2 different medications every 6 and 12 hours.
Okay.
As well as he had to be monitored for additional injuries after the fact, like if it got infected or things like that.
All right, and so the next aspect of your damages is PTSD. Tell me about that.
It was incredibly traumatic. When I came to him 3 days later, and I might start crying now, I had to kick his dog.
His dog was okay,
to unlatch it from mine.
Okay.
And when you're an animal lover, that's a really hard thing to have to like go through. Also, not to know if the dog was gonna bite me or if anybody was gonna come out to help. Because in that moment, it does feel like eternity. And making those split-second decisions. So I am in therapy for that.
Were you in therapy prior to this incident?
For other things, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and pass this to Judge Corriero.
Thank you, Judge. So, what I want to know, is this your dog? Is this Roxy?
Yeah, that's my dog, my baby.
Is this the dog that attacked you? Yeah. Now, he may be very loving and caring with respect to you and your daughter, but that's not the issue in this case. The issue is whether or not he was feeling protective of his home and may have seen Stanley as some kind of of threat. And
yes, sir.
This is the photograph
of my yard,
of your front yard, and this is the fence.
Yes.
And would you agree with me that the iron portion of the fence is flush to the floor?
Yes. Let me look
so
again.
that the only way Roxy could have been out. In front of the fence.
If the gate was left open.
That's precisely, because there's kind of a high fence. So, yes.
While Roxy may not have been able to jump over the fence, who's to say her dog did not get into the fence?
Well,
do we see the spaces between the bars?
Wouldn't you think it's kind of implausible and unreasonable and doesn't make sense?
No, I don't. And another thing that was brought to my attention about Stanley's leash was that it was the kind of leash where the dog could just go.
You think that she would carelessly identify your dog or lie to us in any way about what happened to her?
Excuse me,
This is a nightmare for people. And we, as citizens, have an obligation to our dogs to keep them safeguarded, not only from themselves, but for others. You understand that?
Right.
This is serious.
Like I said, we have seen dogs come through the gate. It is possible. She could have opened the gate. Her dog could have went in there.
I'm not going to hear any more of that.
Could you be open to that?
I'm not going to hear any more of that. Thank you for your efforts. Now, anybody have any other questions?
No.
All right, thank you.
You're
excused.
We have reached a verdict. It wasn't unanimous, and we found Ms. Zemet credible. She was the only one that was there. We looked at what was provided in terms of an officer coming out to your home, Mr. Johnson, and interviewing you, and you saying that you left your front gate open.
Right.
So we're going to believe those things.
Right.
Ms. Emmett, you did provide a vet bill for $1,100. You provided an aftercare document with instructions for round-the-clock care for Stanley. So because of the nature of this incident and the consequential damages because of the injuries suffered by Stanley, we do believe that you are owed for your vet bill, for the lost wages, for the dog care assistance. As far as the PTSD is concerned, that's where the dissent came in. And Judge Juarez believes that you are owed for emotional distress, just not for the amount that Judge Corriero and I believe you're owed. So majority rules in favor of $5,000 in favor of you, Ms. Summit, and that is the verdict of the court.